Hello there. This is Broadway Limited's new Gp20. I think it came out 9 months ago. This is a demonstrator version. Now it says Paragon 4, but yet it also says Paragon 3 right there. So that's just, mildly concerning. It's box-like. The Paragon 4 boxes are very small now, and I'm not sure if I like them or not. They're just a lot of, I don't know. What I do hate is this box. They added these little covers, and it's super tight, and much pain and frustration when trying to get this out of the box. So once you get it out of this death trap, it was a bit easier because I re-put it back in the box so you can see it in the box. The first time there was immense struggle, and I'm taking 5 points. I like to do these the way Dan Cortopassi does it with his 100-point system. Only I don't take 15 points. Now what is also strange is they have like a lot of, look at like oil or something, I'm assuming, grease, I don't know, on the bottom of these. And then you can see it all over the little squishy things. They have a ton of foam in this thing. Like they put it everywhere. And we had I think the RSD15 from the Paragon 3 one, and it had a different type of foam in between these handrails. And I would say this foam on the Paragon 4 one's better because it's less squishy, so you can't really break your handrails. Because with the other one, I think you could have, since it was very squishy. So here is the engine. And then here's your wide selection of papers they give you. You get your warranty, you get this piece of paper which tells me that I have marker lights on this thing. This is very nice. It is all the functions on one simple piece of paper. I didn't realize this was double-sided. Who knew? It is very nice because they don't have to whip out the brick every time you want to do something. When you first use it and it's programmed to 3, it is nice to have the piece of paper, and then you also get the exploded parts diagram, which looks part-like in this. There isn't here. No Choo Choo Shoes advertisement. What happened to the shoes? Broadway. Skimping out on us. I'm taking 5 points. Okay, so now if we look at some of the details, I do have complaints. Number 1, this little thing does not flip down. No matter how hard one tries, it will not go anywhere unless you break it. Even Walter's engines that have the little like pathway thing, bridges the gap between stuff, moves, but theirs doesn't. I also noticed none of the fans move. Disappointing. Also, they have this enormous, one could say, seam between this. I'm assuming this comes off. Have I taken it off? No. Will I? Probably not. But one could take 5 points for inaccuracy. Plus, only one person in there? Disappointing. I mean, I'm pretty sure railroad shoving only one person in the cab is a relatively modern thing. I don't think they were doing that in the 60s, but I could be wrong. Okay. Now, I could not necessarily find much that the railroad couldn't have one crude trains in the cab, but I'm pretty sure with the earlier years of diesels, they still required multiple people to be in the cab. Now I know until like the 80s, I think the 1980s when it ended, they forced a caboose. So you would have crew in there, but I don't know how many people they would have required to be in the cab, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. But I'm just gonna give the whole detail section a -5 points. Now, as you can see, the couplers are way off. I'm going to go ahead and take 5 points. And here are some of the sounds. And it does have a go pack. So those are some of the sounds, and now we will get into pulling some cars. And it does weigh a whopping 12 ounces, which isn't that much. It's enough, I guess. The mighty H10 weighs a whopping, I didn't realize it was this light. I mean, I guess you can't really count the tender, and I don't want to disconnect it. Only, wow, I thought this thing was chunkier. Those traction tires do a lot. Okay, it didn't do bad on the hill pulling test. As you saw, I was able to pull 11 cars up the hill at 50 speed steps, which I see to be a good speed. Now, I don't have a tool to measure how much it can actually pull, but for it being about 11 ounces, it's not bad. You'll probably be able to pull like 10 cars, 10 to 15, depending on your speed, up like your 3 to 4% grade hills with little to many wheel slips. But if you're on flatter or just lower slopes, you should be able to pull at least 20 or more cars with it. But unfortunately, it is weaker than this Bowser RSD 3. As you can see, it gets pulled away. I will give it a moment, and then So that is a bit unfortunate, but other than, I mean, it's a pretty good engine. It got an overall score of 90 out of 100, which is pretty good. I kind of want to take something for its pulling power, but I feel as if it is good enough for the size of the engine. If you have a ton of steep grades, then maybe that could be a problem and you may need two. But considering on my layout, our largest trains are like going to be 23, low 20s. It would, make sense that this isn't pulling a full-sized mainline train up a hill. Now, the other thing I noticed, I feel like these couplers hang a bit low. I don't know. They seem to angle down as well. Now, unfortunately, I cannot find my coupler height gauge, so they get to squeeze away with their extra 5 points. But it gets itself a whole 90. But next, I will be reviewing this soon. I have to wait for new gears to come in, because if you know anything about Bachmann Shays, they be gear shredders. And I like to call this engine the powerhouse of the shell because it is quite strong for how small it is, and they really packed in the weight everywhere they could. And I'm getting metal gears for this thing, so it burns through no more. When I originally bought it, I got it for 80 bucks. I got home and broke one gear, was able to glue it back together, and then I think on one of my videos, I was pulling a bunch of cars with my River Rossi big boy, and it needed some help going up the hills. So I threw this on the back of there and shredded like 3 or 4 gears all broke. So it is a bit too powerful for its own good, but hopefully with the new metal gears, it can go back to being the powerhouse of the cell.